11 newsroom with some breaking news. This is new information in the case of missing 4-year-old Maleah Davis. The news we have to report now is that Missouri City Police are confirming that they have found the silver Nissan Altima that her stepfather reported stolen last week. All of this police scene, if we can take a look at it now, is taking place in a shopping center that's along Highway 6 near Murphy Road. That's also known as FM 292. So again, breaking news now. They have located a vehicle that is connected to the case of missing 4-year-old Maleah Davis. And this is all coming out in the last few minutes. The silver Nissan Altima that you're seeing on your screen right now, police have put out this picture for days, hoping someone would see it and call them. And that's exactly what has happened. We have learned that police received a tip from someone who spotted this vehicle, this sedan, in a parking lot and then called them, and that is why there's an active police investigation in that area. Again, this is in Missouri City on Highway 6 near FM 292. The missing Nissan Altima, that silver car that you're seeing on your screen that was reported stolen by Maleah Davis's stepfather, has now been found. So we're waiting to see how they are going to approach this. We know that there's a lot of yellow police tape in the area. We've got a reporter heading to that scene right now. They have not inspected the car yet. That's what we believe so far, as we're going to be looking at live pictures soon. And I'm hoping, Jaime, are we able to pull those up? We're going to bring you some live pictures as soon as we can. But in the meantime, as we wait for investigators to open up the car and find any more evidence in this case. This is a case that people have been following since last Friday, when her stepfather, Derion Vence, first told investigators that she had been kidnapped. His story was that she had been kidnapped by several Hispanic men after he had stopped on Highway 59 at Greens Road to check a tire. He says that he doesn't know what happened, that he was knocked unconscious, that he showed up at a hospital a few hours later, and he says he didn't know how to get there. But from the beginning, Sugar Land police have said his story has changed. So they've never necessarily named him as a person of interest. Right now we're taking a live look. Is this a live look from Air 11, or is this video we shot earlier? This is a live look right now. You're taking a live look from Air 11 at that Nissan Altima that was found in a shopping center just moments ago. Of course, all of this connected to the case of the missing 4-year-old Maleah Davis. We've had hundreds of volunteers with Texas EquiSearch and other areas come out to search for this little girl since she was reportedly missing, I should say, since Friday. Right now, as this is happening, there's still technically an Amber Alert out for this little girl. Again, 4 years old, and we've been showing you her picture for days now. They have been searching for this little girl. EquiSearch had teams on foot, ATV, searching certain areas for signs of the child. And of course, this vehicle that she was last known to be in, which we now have confirmed with police, Missouri City Police, that that is indeed the vehicle that is connected to her disappearance. Again, she has not been seen since Friday. And Sugar Land Police, a spokesperson there, telling them that her stepfather, Derion Vence's story has been changing as he has continued to talk to investigators, specifically the nature of how he ended up in a hospital several hours later. Maleah, again, 4 years old, stands about 3 feet tall, weighs 30 to 40 pounds. She was last seen with a pink bow in her hair, and she had a light blue zip jacket on with sneakers. And we've had hundreds of volunteers on the ground searching for this little girl. We had volunteers out as recently as yesterday until the wet weather and the muddy conditions kind of put a stop to that search. And so today they were going to be out again. Her mother, we understand, is near the scene. And we're still waiting for new information. But her mother also led some of the searches. They were passing out flyers with the little girl Maleah's picture on there, hoping anyone with any information could come forward. And it looks like a citizen tip is actually what led investigators to this car in this parking lot. Again, this is all happening in Missouri City. The silver Nissan Altima that was reported missing, found at a shopping center off Highway 6 near FM 292, also known as Murphy Road. So this is breaking news we're bringing you right now if you're just joining us. New information in the case of the missing 4-year-old Maleah Davis. They have found the car that was reported stolen by her stepfather. Again, you see there's a lot of yellow tape in the area. Investigators are standing there. Obviously, they're going to be searching this car, looking through this car, hopefully in the next few moments. And we're staying on top of this story as Air 11 is over the scene. And again, we're sending reporters out there. Cheryl, would you like to come in? Because we've been following this case since Friday, since this little girl was reportedly missing. And Cheryl, as part of the investigative team, you guys have looked into the history and sort of some of the health issues that this little Maleah has gone through, including surgeries.
Yeah, so you've probably heard that Maleah had surgery in the last several months, which she did in August, according to these documents. According to these records, she should be wearing a helmet right now, and she needs critical medical care.
And why is that?
Well, she had half of her skull removed back in August, and those details are hard to hear, and we know that. But there's so many questions surrounding this that we have to share the information, and that's why we aired this story. If you didn't see it last night, go to khou.com. It is there, and it explains why she has that brain injury. Now, her mother claimed that she had fallen from a chair and hit her head on a marble table. CPS caseworkers visited, and they couldn't determine that. And there wasn't enough evidence to say, hey, you know, this was absolutely abuse. So right now, her mother is under investigation for just neglectful supervision.
And I wanted to mention to our viewers, we just got some information that, again, as I said earlier, her mother, Maleah's mother, Maleah Davis's mother, is at the scene right now. We just saw a video of her. She's very upset. We are not showing that video at this time, but we want to confirm that Maleah's mother is at the scene where this stolen car has allegedly been found. So, I'm sorry, continue. So she has had major surgeries, and has CPS been able to connect that to any sort of alleged abuse in the home?
Well, at this point, there's still an ongoing investigation, and I'm told by CPS that there are extra staff working on this case now. So we don't know what will be determined as far as the courts are concerned, but it's all tied up in court. These documents right here, Reka, if you take a look at these are our records. This is about 300 pages, and they date back to 2016.
Wow.
Look at that. I mean,
and this is just to do with Maleah and her family, or does it involve other kids in the home?
There are some other siblings who we are not naming, who have been placed in the care of other relatives at this time.
Since she's gone missing?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the siblings is with a paternal grandmother, and the other is with an aunt. So we are told that they are in a safe living environment at this time. But as far as these records are concerned, this is still going on in court. There was just a hearing in April, and there's going to be another one on May 22nd. So all of this is going on in between.
Wow.
And you know, if you look at these records, you look at the story, it's just horrible. Just the details of Maleah's life, just in the last several months.
Absolutely.
Hard to imagine.
And I think that's touched a nerve, especially with our KHOU viewers, you know, on air and online, because that is why there have been such great search efforts for her. We know that Texas EquiSearch has been out the last couple of days. We know that other volunteers were canvassing these neighborhoods. Texas EquiSearch was out by Bush Airport, because this has really touched a nerve for so many people.
Outside of our community, from across the country, are reaching out, you know, sending messages to every post we have. We want to know more. You know, right now there are so many questions, and there are so many questions that detectives aren't answering, you know, and we need to let them do their job right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure those answers will come, but we don't want to say anything or ask anything or expect it of them at this point that might interfere with that.
And something that is interesting to note as we talk about this investigation is that it's her stepfather who reported her missing, and he says that all of this happened, that she was kidnapped on Friday night. That is Derion Vence. There have been several reports out there about whether or not he is a person of interest. HPD confirming and making very clear, look, we don't name a person of interest.
We don't
do that. But obviously
they're questioning.
Absolutely. And we don't know exactly right now the status of how cooperative he's been.
We can't assume anything at all. We just need to wait on those detectives and just trust that at this point there's a reason they're not answering some of those questions.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll get some answers, because if you're watching us live right now on YouTube or streaming on our website, we are following this breaking news with this gray Nissan Altima that Maleah's stepfather reported missing on Friday night. A major break in this case, that it has now been found at a shopping center off of Highway 6 and Murphy Road. And this is a big deal, because this image has been everywhere. We have been putting this information out because that's what investigators said. Look, we need tips. And it looks like a citizen did see this car, recognized the car, called police, and that is why there is such a big police presence and an active investigation happening out at the shopping complex where this car was found. They still haven't opened up anything in the car. They still haven't looked inside. We see a lot of investigators sort of standing around in that area.
It's quite a scene right now.
It's quite a scene right now. So of course this is going to take the next few hours really to see how this develops. But again, as you said, it's a major break in this case, because it's one more clue.
Absolutely, they were looking for this car. It's a huge deal. You know, maybe we'll get some answers now as to, you know, where was Maleah on
Yeah.
Friday night? You know, why did the relatives report Derion Vence missing first before the child? There's so many questions out there that we want to know the answers to, but right now we have to stick to the documents and the facts of what we know and what we know right now about Maleah. And the last several months, I mean, the details are just, some folks have told me, like, I can't read it. We trust what you're saying. We're not going to read through the article because it's just heartbreaking.
It's disturbing.
It is. Can you imagine the child being ordered by doctors to wear a helmet for 12 to 24 months?
Is the
That's serious.
assumption that she has not been wearing this helmet? Is there
don't
any?
know.
We don't know that.
We
okay.
don't know.
But
On
this
the
was after
pictures-
surgery.
right,
You're saying,
the
yeah.
pictures that we have seen online are it's Maleah looking like a healthy, happy girl.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So we don't know. And that's a great question because if she's had half her skull removed, and the doctors say you need to wear this helmet, I mean, that's critical. And she needs critical care, and she's somewhere out there. And right now, no one knows.
No one knows where she
or
is.
what happened.
Yeah. And again, this is such a break in the case because this is the first real sort of evidence we've
Jason
received.
Miles on the phone on the scene.
All right, so we told you that we had a reporter heading to the scene. That reporter is Jason Miles, and he is live right now in Missouri City. Jason, you're on speakerphone. I'm going to hold you close to my mic. Again, to the folks who are watching, we are streaming this. This is all happening right now, so bear with us. But Jason, what have you learned?
Yeah, you should be looking at the exact same thing I'm looking at. We are in the parking lot of a strip mall in Missouri City. For those familiar with this area, we're near Highway 6 and FM 1092. You know where the Walmart Supercenter is. We're in a strip center kind of in front of the Walmart. There's an Avis here. There's a buffet, several other businesses, a Dollar Tree. Missouri City Police telling us this morning they got a tip maybe around 10 o'clock that, hey, I think that car police have been looking for is parked out here in this parking lot. The silver Altima we've been reporting on all week, of course, along with paper tags. We're looking at it right now. My photographer's making a move. You may be able to tell.
We are watching Air 11 right now, so we don't see your view
Right.
from the ground. We just have an overall picture. Jason.
That view from the ground.
Okay.
But in
Can
any
we?
event, they've cordoned off the area
Okay.
around the bar, and now HPD homicide is here. The folks who are in charge of this investigation looking over the bar. I'm told they haven't gained access into the car yet. See what's inside, if anything. But that is obviously one of the next things we will be looking for out here.
Jason, we've been told that Maleah's mother is at the scene. Have you seen her?
Absolutely. I'm looking at her right now, and just a few moments ago, she was on her knees, crying, wailing, "Where is Maleah? Where is my baby?" Things to, in that vein, a couple of detectives and also the head of Equisearch, Tim Miller, a man we're familiar with, came over and consoled Maleah's mother. Her name is Brittany Bowens. We talked to her a couple of times in the process of this. Yesterday, she was a little bit more low-key, joined some friends and family handing out flyers in their neighborhood over in A-Leaf, not too far from here. But today she arrived on the scene with Maleah's godmother, and obviously when she saw the car, she was overcome with emotion. She appeared that way, got on her knees, started crying, wailing, and had to be consoled. I think she has gone over to one of the vehicles now here. Meantime, the stepfather came up with who reported Maleah missing last Friday, reported his car had been stolen by 3 men up near Bush Intercontinental. He has yet to be seen, and I'm told his story has changed over the course of the last few days, which certainly made Sugar Land police skeptical at the beginning, and then Houston Police Homicide took over the case, and as it stands right now, they found his car. The stepdad reported stolen, at least. As far as Maleah, no sign of her or that pickup truck that he claims the suspects were in. We haven't seen a hide nor hair of it yet, Reka.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. I'm being told that it's been kind of hard to pick up your mic, but thank you for that perspective. I hope our folks could actually could hear kind of from your perspective on the ground, seeing her mother on the scene, and obviously this big police presence that's out there at this parking lot. Folks wondering what is inside this car. This was the car that was reportedly stolen on Friday, and her stepfather, Maleah's stepfather, reported it stolen, said that he had pulled over on the side of the road to check out a tire, and that 3 men came up and knocked him unconscious and took Maleah away. So There are so many holes in this story, though, and that's coming from police. That is coming from Sugar Land police, who say, look, every time he's telling us this story, there are missing links. There are things that just don't add up. So hopefully this huge break in this case with this silver Nissan Altima being found in this shopping center parking lot down in Missouri City can provide more clues. Of course, now the big thing that we're waiting for is to see what's inside. We are waiting. It looks like there's a lot of investigators around the scene, and they have there's yellow tape. There's quite a perimeter there around the scene as we wait to see what investigators find inside that car. Again, that Nissan Altima with paper plates that so many people have been looking for in the last couple of days. And this just goes to show that putting this information out there will yield results, because we understand a citizen called police and said, look, I found this car that I think you're looking for. And that is what led us to right now. This car reportedly discovered around 10 o'clock this morning. So thank you to Jay Smiles, who's on the ground. Hopefully we're going to hear from him a little bit sooner. This is a map right now as to where the car was found. This is close to Missouri City. Again, this is along Highway 6 and FM 292. That's Murphy Road as well, if you're familiar with that area, and this is why there's a large police presence in that area. But of course, Missouri City Police confirming that they have found this silver Nissan Altima that has been connected to the case of a missing 4-year-old, Maleah Davis, that both police and hundreds of community members and really people across the nation have been following this case, hoping for this little girl's safe return. In the meantime, again, this is a ground shot. Again, if we look at the car that was reported missing that has now been found, a big break in this case. Want to talk about the amount of volunteers who have been searching for this little girl. EquiSearch, obviously a big part of all of this. They had been searching for days, reportedly near Bush Airport, the woods up there. That is reportedly where Maleah's stepfather's car had an issue and where he pulled over to take a look. So EquiSearch was on foot using those ATVs, searching in very specific areas for any signs of the child and the vehicle that she had last been seen in. HPD now saying via Twitter that detectives will be having a media briefing soon, and that all updated information will be released at that time. So hopefully we're going to be hearing from HPD in the next few moments as to what they found. All right. So again, we are closely following this case, this big break that happened around 10 o'clock this morning, and just hearing from HPD via Twitter that they're going to be updating us in the next few moments. So I know a lot of people looking forward for an update to see what's next in this case. Everyone wanting to know, all of us wanting to know what is inside that car, if anything, if any clues, any information as to where little Maleah may be and how this car also ended up here. Again, her stepfather, Derion Vence, saying that this car was reportedly stolen and that he didn't know how he ended up at a Sugar Land hospital. But we are still trying to fill holes in this story, and we're still trying to figure out how he got to that hospital on Saturday. In the meantime, we're going to leave you with some images right now, and we've been showing you, this is our ground camera with our crew, and we also have images from Air 11. So we're going to take a quick break right now, but we're going to leave you with these images. Stay with us. We are waiting to hear again from HPD officials for any official information as to what was found, any confirmations, and what's going to be next in this investigation and the search for Maleah Davis.
Hey there, I'm KHOU 11 News' Jason Miles on the scene in Missouri City, Texas, where there are big developments in the Maleah Davis case. That's the 4-year-old girl reported missing almost a week ago tomorrow. Take a look behind me. This Nissan Altima has been the focus of this investigation for the last several days. This morning, Missouri City Police confirming they got a tip that this car was spotted in a parking lot near the Walmart Supercenter on Highway 6. As you see, they've cordoned it off with yellow crime scene tape as the investigation takes another turn. Just for some background, if you haven't been keeping up, 4-year-old Maleah Davis reported missing by her stepdad. Over the weekend, he claims 3 men assaulted him up near Bush Intercontinental Airport, kidnapped Maleah, and then he didn't regain consciousness after he was knocked out until a day later in Sugar Land. So we have about 4 locations involved here. Today, where the car is found in Missouri City, where Maleah's stepfather claims he was assaulted and she was kidnapped up near Bush Airport. The family lives in the A-Leaf area. That's been the focus of a couple of searches now, and family and friends handed out flyers in that area yesterday. And of course, Sugar Land is where the stepdad says he regained consciousness on Saturday, then went to a hospital there. Sugar Land police telling us they kind of found his story sketchy from the beginning, but turned it over to Houston Police Homicide once they determined the family is from Houston and the alleged abduction occurred within the city limits of Houston. But the big development today, of course, the location of this Nissan Altima, silver in color, paper tags. This does match up with the photo we've been showing you for the last couple of days. And right now, HPD homicide investigators are on the scene. They have not gotten into the car yet. I'm told that will take some time. They perhaps need some equipment to arrive first, perhaps the medical examiner. That's just speculation on my part. But again, no one has gotten into this car yet. And at this point, at least according to Missouri City Police, they don't believe Maleah is inside this car. Now, that's just based on what Missouri City Police have told us. I see through the window there is a car seat. And of course, Maleah, 4 years old, she had a younger brother involved in this situation as well. He's 1 year old. The stepdad telling police from the beginning that, again, he was assaulted, Maleah was kidnapped. He woke up the next day in Sugar Land, had the 1 year old with him, but no Maleah, no car, and so far, no sign of the 3 alleged suspects, he said, were in a blue pickup truck. We will, of course, continue to stay on the scene here in Missouri City. We're told HPD will have a news conference at some point to update us on this investigation and tell us what's next. We will, of course, stream that on KHOU.com and possibly on TV as well. I'm getting ready for the noon newscast as well. For now, I'll send it back to you guys there. Thanks for staying up with the latest on this case with us on air and online. For now, in Missouri City, I'm Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
All right, if you are just tuning in, we are taking some aerial looks from Air 11 of the scene where police say they have found vehicle belonging to Maleah Davis's stepfather. That's the 4-year-old girl who's been missing since Friday. We know that Sugar Land police, who took that stepdad's initial report, say his story didn't add up. He said that on Friday night he was driving near Bush Airport. He said he pulled over to check a tire on his car. 3 men attacked him, hit him over the head. He was with Maleah and his 1-year-old son. He says he woke up the next day in Sugar Land with his son, but there was no sign of Maleah. And since then, there's been a massive search effort up along 59 and Greens Road, which is where he says he had pulled over his car. But this scene that you're looking at right now is on Highway 6 near Riverstone Boulevard. Just learned the stepfather was driving that car. It actually belongs to Maleah's mother, but he had the car Friday night when this all started happening. We've seen a lot of questions from you on our Facebook page, on all of our digital feeds, asking why police aren't opening the car doors, why they're not checking the trunk, and we have a lot of questions just like you do. However, we're waiting on a press conference from Houston Police, and we will ask some of those questions that you have been asking us. What we know about the case so far is EquiSearch has been out for days checking that scene near 59 and Greens Road. This vehicle, though, we're told, was spotted by a citizen in that parking lot there off Highway 6 and Riverstone Boulevard. We also know that when Maleah's mom approached the scene, she broke down, she fell to her knees. Again, this is her car. We're told the stepfather was driving it. This is a case that has really captured national attention. This 4-year-old girl, the circumstances around her disappearance have raised so many questions. As I mentioned before, Sugar Land police now saying the stepfather's story didn't add up, that he was unconscious for so long and woke up without any sign of Maleah. This is the first big development, though, since her disappearance, the discovery of this car that he was driving when she disappeared. So we are waiting on a press conference right now to learn more information from Houston police who are investigating. We have Jason Miles out on the scene. You can see so many different news cameras out there as we take this look from Air 11. A lot of people are invested in finding out what happened to Maleah, where she is, and if she's going to come home safely. For days, we've seen her family and friends sharing flyers with her photo on them all over Sugar Land, hoping that there would be some tips, some information that led her home or that led to the discovery of where she might be. Online, so many of you have shared the stories about her, trying to get the word out wherever she might be to bring her home. And now, as we found this car in a parking lot in Missouri City at Highway 6 and Riverstone Boulevard, we're waiting to find out what this might mean, what is in that car. We've been watching now for a while, and police haven't opened up any of the doors, the trunk. You guys have a lot of questions about, kind of the status of the investigation, and we just don't have those answers yet. We are hoping to get them at this press conference in a little while as we just watch investigators keeping their distance from the car at this point. You can see some folks gathered there together, hugging. A lot of emotion surrounding this, even if you didn't know Maleah personally. I think, seeing that photo right there, a reminder of this beautiful, young, vibrant life. That's why people are so invested. Brenda Salinas on Facebook asked us how far is a hospital from where the car was found. So we did a map quest and kind of looked at what that distance is. It's about 25 miles. That vehicle, as everything is played out, when Maleah's stepfather woke up and reported that Maleah was missing, the car was reported stolen. So that's this discovery that was made by a citizen who spotted it in this parking lot off Highway 6 and Riverstone Boulevard. So many questions, but again, that one from Brenda asking how far a hospital is from where the car's found, about 25 miles. And you can keep those questions coming. Ask your questions, because we are watching what you're asking us. And those are some of the questions we're going to take to investigators as soon as we can, as soon as this press conference gets underway. But as you look there at those photos of Maleah, you can, no one likes to think of a child being hurt, or a child disappearing, or a child wandering around on their own, a child who doesn't have the help that they need. So I think that's why there was such an incredible response and outpouring of support and help to try to get her some help or get her found. Now we do know that police have searched the car just while we've been over the vehicle. They haven't been opening doors or the trunk. So we don't know what they found during that initial search. We do see them keeping their distance right now. But I do want to encourage you to keep those questions coming. Even if we can't answer them in this moment, we are going to try to get as many answers as we can during the press conference. So to catch you all up, if you're just tuning in, this is a story that we've really been tracking since Saturday. And Saturday, 4-year-old Maleah Davis's stepfather told police he woke up and Maleah was missing. He said the previous night he was driving near Bush Airport, near 59 and Greens Road. He pulled over to check a tire, and 3 men kind of ambushed him, hit him over the head, stole his car, and he woke up and he was in Sugar Land with his 1-year-old son, and there was no sign of Maleah. And now since then, Sugar Land police, who took that first report from her stepfather, says his story didn't add up, and they say his story has changed, but they haven't said exactly how. And so as soon as he reported that she was missing, there has been a massive search. EquiSearch teams have been out there on foot, on ATV, searching some areas around that 59 and Greens Road area. Family and friends have been sharing flyers, trying to get the word out, trying to share any information they can that would bring her home. And something else we learned over the last few days is that this little girl is recovering from brain surgery and requires some pretty critical medical care. So that kind of increased the priority in bringing her home. We are waiting for this press conference that was called by Houston police after a citizen called in the tip about finding the car. Air 11's been kind of camped out over it for a while, as have our crews down on the ground, waiting, just trying to wait patiently until we can hear from investigators and get some answers about what this car means in the investigation and what they found in that initial search. So as we wait, we will continue to carry this aerial video from Air 11 and do keep those questions coming, like this one from Natalia Mint. She asked, who was the last to see her alive besides her stepfather? The grandmother says that she saw Maleah on Monday. Her stepfather, Derion Vence, says the last time he saw her was Friday night, before he says those men attacked him and potentially took him and stole her car.
Hey guys, this is Reka Midraj joining Brandy Smith right now. Again, we've been watching this scene unfold since about 10 o'clock this morning when police first got that tip. And that was what was sort of great about this story, is that, you know, when these things happen and they put these pictures out there, and they were putting Maleah's picture out there and also pictures of that Nissan Altima, that's what essentially led to police finding this car, is that someone called in, they saw the car, they thought it looked suspicious, it looked a lot like the picture that's been circulated on air and online, and they called it in. And that is what led us to this police presence right now, because this is how you get information, this is how you crack a case, and this is a big break in this case. And Brandy, we're just waiting to hear from HPD to see what's next and really what's in the car. That is the big thing, is what is in that car. What are investigators going to find? Are they going to find clues into Maleah's disappearance? Are they going to find something more morbid? We don't know, because we know that EquiSearch has been out for days now, and they've actually been looking near Bush Airport, near that area where her stepfather says his car was having trouble and that he pulled over, and that's where that alleged incident happened, where he was knocked unconscious, she was kidnapped, and so that's where EquiSearch has been focusing their efforts. But they have now found this car in Missouri City, so many questions here. How did it get here? Was it truly stolen, as her stepfather has been alleging? But again, we're just waiting to hear from HPD, and hopefully they can clear up a lot of these questions.
Yeah, we do know that they did search the car before Air 11 went up and before we were able to see this video. So a lot of folks have commented and questioned. They want to know why we're not getting a look at investigators actually hands-on in the car. It's because they did that a little bit earlier after the citizen called in that tip. But yeah, we all want to know, are you going to find, you know, potentially fingerprints from the suspects if the stepfather is telling the truth about those men taking his car? Could there be signs of you know, other crimes in there? We're all waiting to hear, because ever since Maleah has been reporting missing, Reka, a little bit back to what you said about people spreading the word about this story. This is a story that didn't just grab everyone's attention in the Houston area, it got national attention. People really invested in bringing this little girl home or seeing an outcome to this story. That's why her photo was spread. That's why that photo of the Nissan Altima got spread. And that could be potentially what led to the awareness of a citizen spotting it, calling it in. And this isn't in an area where we've been talking about this story developing. You know, it's not in Sugar Land, where
it's not near Bush Airport.
It's not near
Houston,
Bush.
yeah.
Right. We're talking about Missouri City and just a business parking lot where this Nissan was found sitting this morning.
Absolutely. And again, waiting to hear from HPD official information, but you're looking at this scene and then you're looking in that small box. This is 4-year-old Maleah, and this picture has circulated around the country and around the world. I mean, people from all over the U.S. have been tweeting us and sending us messages on Facebook and wondering what happened to her, where is she, and why don't we have any clues in this case? Well, it looks like we have the biggest piece of the puzzle, and it's sitting right there in the parking lot, and hopefully that'll provide us some clues. And thank you for clarifying that, yes, police did look in the car, so they do have some sort of evidence or some sort of idea of what is inside it. But again, right now, they're just outside that yellow tape, and I guess we're going to be waiting for forensics and other people to show up and to see, like you said, fingerprints, any other DNA, anything that will lead them to Maleah, or at least solve this case that so many people have been watching. And if you're a parent and you're watching this and you see this little girl's face, you don't want to imagine the worst. But you know, we've been hearing from Texas EquiSearch this whole week, and they go, look, we're expecting the worst, but we're hoping for the best, and that's really all you can do in a situation like this.
And I think that's everyone who shares the story shares that same sentiment. We've seen a lot of comments on this feed, folks have their own theories about what happened.
Yes.
nothing is confirmed at
No.
this point. We are still waiting for police for a lot of details. I think they've been really struggling since Saturday to put this together, to find out what has happened to Maleah and how it happened.
And we should mention that there have been all these reports that the stepfather, Derion Vence, is a person of interest. But HPD made that very clear, and they said, look, we don't have a person of interest. We have people that we arrest and we don't. So right now, we're not even putting that out there as far as how we are looking at her stepfather, what light we're looking at her stepfather in. But they do admit, and this also coming from Sugar Land Police, that his story has changed, that his story has not been consistent, and that there are holes in his story as to what happened on Friday night that led to Maleah's disappearance. So hoping that this piece of the puzzle, this gray Nissan Altima with paper plates that was found in this parking lot in Missouri City, will provide some of those clues.
And Lucia asked, have they informed the parents? And we do know that Maleah's mom showed up on scene, that she had a very emotional response and dropped to her knees. So yes, the parents have been informed.
Her mother,
Yes.
And that we also should mention to our viewers that we have, we've seen her at the scene. She was on her knees crying, but that we are not showing her. This is obviously very sensitive case that's happening, and we are being respectful of the family. And so, yes, we have seen her mother, but we're not going to be showing our KHOU viewers that video.
Yeah, another question comes from Christian Foster, and he says, can you tell if the tires are damaged? And that's not something I can tell at this distance, but it might be something you can see a little closer on the scene. And we do have Jason Miles, our reporter there, with probably a better vantage point, who would be able to answer that.
Again, a lot of yellow tape around the scene, a lot of people waiting to hear, all of us waiting to hear from officials as to what happened. We are watching, as you're watching this live, we're watching your comments come in, and a lot of people, like you said, Brandy, everyone seems to have a theory as to what happened, but we really just need to wait for official evidence. We need to wait and see what investigators actually have in this case and what actual breaks they have in this case. And so we are refraining, but we are seeing your comments. And yes, Cheryl's asking if they have video of her crying. We do have video of her she was on her knees, and this happened very early on. As we're approaching 11:30 right now. This was earlier in the day, probably around 10:30 or 11. She was at the scene. She was just outside that yellow tape, and she was on her knees sobbing and saying, my baby, my baby. So again, we don't want to show that video out of respect, but we do have that video. We know that the mother is at the scene. Don't know where her stepfather is, Derion Vence, if he is there or where he may be, but definitely Maleah's mother is on site.
Someone just asked a really interesting question, and I think it's a really valid point. So this is a business parking lot. Look at all of those businesses that surround it. No doubt police are probably looking for surveillance video to find out when this car was dropped there and who dropped it there. There's a huge opportunity there potentially for surveillance video from those surrounding businesses. So let's hope that there is some of that evidence and that police will be able to answer a lot of the questions we have about how this car got to this parking lot on Highway 6 or off Highway 6 near Riverstone Boulevard.
And this is not a vacant parking lot. You see a lot of cars there. There's a physical therapy place there. Jason Miles is our reporter on the ground, and he's watching all of this unfold. And this is a decently busy strip center. There's a gas station that is right around the corner that we could see from Air 11 just a few seconds ago. So there have been a lot of people in and out of this parking lot. And it's interesting that we don't know how long that car has been there, and we don't know if it's been sitting there for days. And then, just now, today, this morning, someone reporting seeing this car or recognizing this car, which is why it's so important when police, have these cases and they have what little, evidence that they can show and share with the public. That's why we put it on all of our platforms. It's why we are sharing it constantly. It's why we ask our viewers to share it on Twitter and on Facebook and just get that out there, because you never know who is going to see something, and if they do, you want to urge them to say something.
Yeah, because we mentioned this a bit ago, but this is not one of the areas where the search is focused.
Absolutely.
So sharing that information is so valuable and critical because you can have a citizen spot something like this, and that exposure, seeing it over and over again. I know we've shared it. I've shared the story every day, Reka. I know you have too. We've talked about it on air every day because there's this effort to bring her home. And you see that car, that gray Nissan, enough, you're going to remember it when you're just potentially driving to the physical therapist. You're going to take note. Excuse me. And look at how effective that was. Now we have the car belonging to Maleah's mother, the one that her stepfather says he was driving Friday night. Now it's been found. We have had questions about how close a hospital is. We're researching that to find a good answer. Let's see. Stephanie says, "Does the car have a spare tire on it? Since the stepdad said he'd stopped to change a flat tire." As I understand it from his story, he said he thought he had a spare tire. I don't remember specifically if he said he did have one or that he had to change it.
Yeah, and again, from this vantage point, it's hard to see any sort of physical evidence on the car. And he said that he was having trouble with his tire. We don't know if he got around, as our viewers are asking, did he get a chance to change that tire? What he exactly was doing when these three men allegedly came up to him, knocked him unconscious, and kidnapped Maleah.
Marcelina just tweeted.
Marcelina Benito, who's one of our reporters there, is saying that he just tweeted that Texas EquiSearch is suspending their search for Maleah Davis for today until further notice, and that is at the request of Houston police. So if Texas EquiSearch has stopped looking for Maleah as per the request of HPD, that's got to make you think that they've got something in a bigger break in this case.
There's a lot of assumptions you can make from that, but again, we are still waiting on that press conference from Houston Police. They're promising that they will speak to us, and we're going to try to get some of those questions answered because we have them. We know you have them, and you're flooding our Facebook feed with them right now. Hopefully, we can learn how the car got there and what is in that car, what they've learned from its discovery, and it can provide some resolution.
Yeah. And with Texas EquiSearch suspending their efforts, that does not mean she's been found. They may be looking for a better area to search. They may be redirecting their resources to something else. We don't know. But that, again, Texas EquiSearch says HPD has has asked them to stop their search for Maleah Davis. So hopefully when HPD officials come out and talk about it, they're going to clarify why that is, and we'll get some answers in the next few moments.
And you look at that little girl's face up there next to our Air 11 coverage, and so many of you have said this here on Facebook as well, but sending prayers and like Renee just said, hoping this sweet child is found alive and unharmed. I think that is what we are all praying for, hoping for, wishing for. But multiple times when we've talked to Tim Miller from Texas EquiSearch, as he's been out there with his crews scouring the area near 59 and Greens Road, he said, we are hoping for the best, but in his exact words, he said, we're expecting the worst. And that is absolutely heartbreaking as you look at that photo. So we know Maleah's mother is on the scene. We've seen her at the scene.
And she's been out on foot. They've been passing out flyers the last 2 days. Regardless, I know that Texas EquiSearch had to suspend their efforts because of the rain and muddy and where they were searching. But from what we saw, Maleah's mother was out there with, dozens of people passing out flyers with her daughter's picture on it, hoping someone would come in with any information as to where her daughter might be, because and I want to make sure I get this right, Brandy, that she was not present at the time that Maleah was allegedly kidnapped. That the story from her stepfather, Maleah's stepfather, was that they were on their way to the airport to pick up Maleah's mother.
Right. But there are so many questions. I know we've said that so many times. A lot of you are mentioning that the car hasn't been searched. Not since we have shown you Air 11. We do know that police searched the car before we started airing this footage. So we know a search has been completed. We're just waiting on them now to tell us what they've found. Tina, that's a perfect comment. She says, stop the blaming. We don't know anything yet. Please instead pray for the best. I think a lot of us can make assumptions. Our imaginations can run away with us. And in this day and age, with all the stories that we see on social media, from all over the world about horrible things happening, it's very easy to let our mind go to a dark place. But we don't know what happened. We don't know how this car got there. We don't know what is in it. And we are hoping we can get that information as soon as possible.
So many questions that are coming in from people, and again, these are all questions that we have to, how did he end up in a Missouri City hospital? Why didn't he have a phone? What happened? The stepfather claiming he was sort of in and out of consciousness, that when he woke up that their 1-year-old was with them, or his 1-year-old son was with them. So it's a lot of information to digest, and it's a lot of information that HPD detectives, investigators, they have to confirm and make sure that the story is adding up. Brandy, and seeing her feed, and thanks to everyone who's weighing in and commenting, but so many of those sad face emojis coming up, and you can only imagine. I mean, we're just a few days out from Mother's Day. This is a little girl whose beautiful face has been plastered all over TV screens, all over your phone. You've seen pictures of her. His story has piqued national interest. So many people wondering, picked up by the networks, wondering where this little girl is, and following this search for her. People all over the country want to know where little Maleah Davis is, and again, we're hoping for the best. I think from YouTube, a lot of people are asking, where is Maleah's little brother? And we have not been able to confirm that. I know our IT team was looking into whether that little boy might be in CPS custody right now, but again, we're trying to confirm that. Thank you to our YouTube viewer who gave us this question. I'm going to check in with the IT team and see if we have a confirmation on that. But at last check, the word was that the son was the little boy was with CPS custody. So we need to double check on that. But that was a report that was coming through. So,
but an excellent question.
Yeah, an absolutely excellent question. CPS has been involved with this family the last couple of years, and if you've watched our reports online, and especially from our KHOU 11 investigative team, they were looking at some surgeries, brain surgery, that this little girl had to go through.
Very recently,
and that she was supposed to be wearing a helmet as part of her recovery for the next year to 2 years, indicating that this was a very serious surgery that required great attention to the recovery part. And so that's another reason people are wondering, where is she? Because this poor little girl does need medical attention and does need medical help based on the surgery and medical help she's received in the last couple of months. So that is an issue that has been there. We know that authorities have looked into it to see, how she sustained certain head injuries, and not willing to say either way. And it sounds like we are standing by to hear from HPD officials very soon. Things got very active in our newsroom, and it sounds like they're going to be starting soon. So we're going to stay on this. Are we standing by?
Yeah, you can see.
We lost the signal.
There we go.
You can
We've got a
see
crowd
the
down there.
news crews gathered there. It looks like that press conference is getting going now. We're waiting to see if we can take that feed.
And we know that HPD said they would update us on this, but we still unclear if it's going to be HPD or Sugarland officials who will be speaking to us.
And again, this is a press conference regarding.
No signs of anything in the car right now. We are going to have it towed and taken to the HPD
lot and have our crime scene unit process it there. So that's currently what we're waiting on right now.
Detective, what's the status with the father? Are you continuing to question him? Is he even accounted for right now, the stepfather?
We have not spoken to him in a couple days. We've reached out to him to come in and maybe do a sketch and talk, do a sketch of the suspects that may have been involved in the abduction, but we have not been able to coordinate that with him yet. He has not come in.
Is he missing?
I don't know that. I just know that each time we have tried to talk to him or have him come in, we have been unsuccessful. So I can't say he's missing. I don't know where. We have not had any contact with him in the last few days.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
I believe that would have been maybe on the weekend, maybe Saturday, I believe.
Saturday, the day he ended up at the hospital?
I'm not gonna, don't quote me on that, but I wasn't involved in that interview. I think Saturday, I know for sure we spoke to him then, but since then I don't believe we have.
So just the one initial interview?
As far as I know, yeah.
Are you guys actively searching for him?
Us in conjunction with local law enforcement, we've had a bolo out on the car, hoping we'd find him with it. We've obviously found the car, but yeah, we're still looking for him right now.
Are you worried that you can't?
The tires, you know, he had said he heard a pop and he was checking it out. What is the condition of the car and the significance of that, if you're able to give us anything?
The car looks fine. The car, everything looks normal on the car. The tires look okay. Doesn't mean they weren't changed at some point. I don't know. I don't have anything on that really.
How were you alerted to this and when? Can
Like,
you take us through the timeline?
I don't know the exact timeline, but like I said earlier, citizen saw the car, called the local PD, Missouri City or Sugar Land. I think it was Missouri City. They contacted us, and we came out here.
You guys done inside the car, the trunk, inside of it?
We looked inside. We haven't done any searching for anything. We just took a glance inside because it was bright. The windows are semi-tinted, and everything, like I said, looked normal, like a normal car.
The trunk?
The trunk looks normal too.
Are the keys in there?
I did not see the keys in the car.
Are you worried that you can't find the stepfather?
No, ma'am.
Is he considered a person of interest?
I would like to talk to him, but right now, I'm not concerned that we haven't found him. We're not. No, I'm not concerned about that.
Isn't it suspicious the last person that saw him you can't find?
You would think that if your loved one is missing, that you'd be coming forward, and so he may have a legitimate reason. I haven't spoken with him.
What does surveillance video show?
Right now, we're still trying to pull that and see what the angles of the cameras are. I have not personally viewed those, so that's what we have officers in these businesses looking at to see if there's any cameras focused on the parking lot, and of course, if there is, we're going to backtrack and get everything we can.
You said it looks like a normal car. I can't see a child's seat. What else is in there?
Just miscellaneous clothes, papers. It's a clean car.
Is there a child seat in there?
Yeah, I believe I saw one in there. Yeah.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
I heard there was a child seat found that somewhere nearby.
Haven't heard anything about that. All I know is what's going on right here in this parking lot in front of you. Okay?
What's your message to family and loved ones who have been covering and following this?
Just keep praying that we find her safe and sound. If you have any information about that, call your local police department. And give as much detail as you can. Don't, we have a lot of tips where people call in and say, I saw her.
Are you still?
No, I need an address, I need a time, I need who she was with, a car, anything else that would help. Just to say that I saw her, doesn't do us any good.
And you've received a lot of information, or how has the public helped with this investigation?
We obviously, a citizen today found the car. We have a lot of Crime Stopper tips coming in, and we follow up on each one of those.
We heard thousands.
It's probably in that ballpark. I can't state on that.
You guys have been working with Texas EquiSearch to identify areas that you want them to search. Are
Correct.
there any particular places, now that the car has been discovered, that you want them to be looking for Maleah?
Once we look at the video surveillance and see if anything comes out of that, we'll be able to get with Tim and his guys and his people and maybe focus on a certain area. But right now, due to the weather and the flooding, we've kind of suspended the search. We haven't stopped looking for Maleah, but due to the weather, I think it was put out that Tim suspended the search a little bit, but it's for the safety of his own people, and they have family and loved ones they have to take care of too when it's flooding. So,
What are your next steps?
Right now, the next steps, we're going to go ahead and take the car back to HPD, process it, see if we can get any fingerprints off of it, and just go over it with a fine-tooth comb and see if we see anything.
Detectives, a lot of viewers have questions.
We are following up on tips because we have tips coming in on the Crime Stoppers with the pickup, and of course, we're following up on those. We have to, but we haven't had any luck finding that truck yet.
Can you talk about the condition of the sibling?
I'm sorry?
The sibling that was, the stepfather claims he regained consciousness.
Honestly, I don't know any.
Condition and with family now?
I haven't heard anything to the contrary of that. I believe all the children are okay, are fine, and they're with family, and they're, yeah, I don't think there's anything there.
Was there anything wrong with one of the tires?
I did not see anything wrong with any of the tires.
Have police contacted Maleah's daycare?
Yes, they have been interviewed early on last week, or earlier in the week.
When was the last time Maleah showed up to daycare?
I didn't interview anybody at the daycare. I didn't go out there. I'd have to look at those notes and see. I can't tell you that.
Do you know if the stepfather was dropping off the 1-year-old and not dropping off Maleah?
I don't know about that. Like I said, all we got here today is we're going to tow the car, process it, and see where that takes us. It may not take us anywhere. It may take us right where we need to go. And I'm sure y'all hear about it once we finish that process. Okay.
If there are no more questions about this scene, the detective has to go.
Okay. Any other questions about this scene? No, ma'am, not yet. We're trying to look at the video to see when it was dropped off.
Thank you, detective.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we've just heard from one of the investigators on the scene where the vehicle linked to Maleah Davis's disappearance was found. This is in Missouri City at Highway 6 and Riverstone Boulevard. It's been in that parking lot. You heard the last thing he said that he really wanted to nail on is we are going to be looking at surveillance video from the surrounding businesses to find out when this car was dropped off. The next steps for it, Maleah wasn't found.
Yes,
No sign of Maleah found in that car.
What is in that car? They said that they've been able to look through the windows that are slightly tinted, and they say, look, the car looks clean. They found some clothing, some papers in there. Brandy, I thought this was interesting. They just said the trunk looked normal too. All right, so nothing was found. That's the assumption that we're walking away with.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of folks were really, really worried about as investigators kept their distance and you have that crime scene tape spread so far from the car. What is in it that could create that amount of caution? And it's really because we know they're going to tow this car to HPD. They're going to process it. They're going to be looking for fingerprints. Who last touched this car? Was it Maleah's stepfather? Was it someone else? What clues can they gather from that? And they want to keep it as pristine as possible until they can get it back into HPD.
And if Maleah's stepfather's story truly adds up, this was a car that was allegedly stolen from him. And he also talked a lot, because we're going back to Friday night when all of this allegedly happened, and that Derion Vence, Maleah's stepfather, said he pulled over to check a tire. So many of our questions on our KHOU page, people who've been watching this live have said, hey, check out the tires, what do they look like? Well, that detective who just spoke with us right now said, look, the tires look okay. There isn't a spare tire on there. It doesn't appear to be that way, at least from our Air 11 view as well. So the tires looked okay. Car looks like to be in normal shape, and they did not find anything of significance in there yet. Of course, now it's going to be processed. They have to do forensics. They have to look for fingerprints, but that is the next step. And then also, as was mentioned, the surveillance video. This is a parking lot. There are a lot of businesses in this area, a good amount of traffic in this area. We see a lot of cars parked around it that have been moved out of the way. So hopefully there are surveillance videos that are pointed to this area that can give us more clues as to how this car got here to this parking lot in Missouri City. This is a shopping center that's along Highway 6 near FM 292, so a busy area out there.
You know, a lot of questions now about where the stepfather is, where Derion Vence is, because investigators say really since this weekend, at least for a couple days, they haven't heard from him. They say they wanted him to come in, they wanted to put together suspect sketches.
And they wanted to talk to him again. They say that they haven't had any contact with him since the initial contact when he first reported what happened on Saturday. And then they say that they've tried to reach out to him several times, that he has not come in, that he's not answering their phone calls. And they actually, as you said, they haven't had contact with him in the last few days. They're still looking for him. But the investigator who was talking about it didn't seem concerned. He said that there was no necessary urgency in that way. I think obviously the focus now is where's Maleah, what happened to her, and if they can find any clues as to that. But right now, the stepfather has essentially gone missing since reporting this initial alleged kidnapping.
Now, one thing the detective also said, said the best thing that people can do is just keep praying that they find her safe and sound. I think that is the outcome everyone is hoping for. I think this scared a lot of people. There's this vehicle, what could be in it? We know she wasn't in it. We do know EquiSearch is looking near 59 and Greens Road, has been scouring that area, which is where her stepfather said that he had pulled over.
Absolutely. But now we've just learned recently in the last few minutes that EquiSearch, at the request of HPD, has been told to suspend its search for Maleah Davis. So again, we don't know what that means. We don't know if maybe they're suspending their search.
He clarified at the end it was due to weather.
It was due to weather, absolutely.
We do have some severe storms and a flash flood threat through Saturday. So it was to keep folks safe. But there's so much interest in finding this girl and bringing her home.
So one of the questions that has been running through our Facebook feed as well, and on YouTube as well as all of you are watching, is people are wondering where Maleah's half-brother is and her other brother, full brother, is, and apparently they are safe and with family. There were reports that maybe they may be with CPS custody, but we know that her siblings, half-brother and another brother, are safe and sound with family. So we know that they're okay and they're secure, and that's good to know. But again, this search continues for Maleah, and this car will be processed, looking for surveillance cameras in the area. Brandy, I've been watching this scene since about 10:30, 10 o'clock, and I have not seen security cameras on those light posts, but again, I'm hoping in this shopping complex there are cameras that are in front of these stores, in front of these storefronts that are facing in this direction, because that will be key in getting information, for investigators to figure out where this little girl is.
And we did have someone just ask, why are they just suspending the search now? We've had bad weather all week. They actually did suspend the search earlier this week due to bad weather, got it back started up a little bit, and now we know that they're suspending and maybe redirecting as well. Now that we know the vehicle was found in Missouri City, we know the father first reported to police in Sugar Land. Maybe that redirects the focus of the investigation more to the southwest side of the city instead of the northeast.
Yeah, so just to clarify, we have so many people again commenting on this. They're suspending the EquiSearch efforts right now because of weather. We know that it's the rain and severe weather is going to pick up, and our meteorologists have been saying around 1 o'clock today. It's the same reason they stopped their search yesterday because of bad weather, and the day before they've been doing it when they can. But the areas that they have been searching so far, the wooded area up near Bush Airport on the north side, that gets really muddy, and on foot and ETV, it just becomes really hard to get through some of that thick brush to find any clues. So of course, we want our EquiSearch volunteers and people involved to be safe. We want to make sure that they still want to look for clues in this case, but we just need to make sure everyone is safe. And with this bad weather that we've had the last couple of days, and that will continue through to Saturday, that has been just taking precautions and making sure that they can continue to search.
Absolutely, and we have to let investigators do their job. That's really frustrating for a lot of folks too, because it wasn't until just the other day that Sugar Land police came out and said that Derion Vence's story, the stepfather's story, didn't add up. And a lot of folks, there was this outpouring on Facebook and Twitter that said, well, we've been saying that for a while. Police have to do their due diligence. They have to look into all the options. They're not going to put all the information they have out there because there may be details that are needed to solve this case that they need to keep private. So only when they have a concrete theory or idea can they release it. So yes, officers probably expressed some doubt initially about that story, about the questions that they had. The problem is right now is they're telling us they can't get a hold of Vance to clarify, to answer those questions.
Yeah, they've asked him to come in, because remember he said that there were 3 men, he said Hispanic men, who accosted him on the side of the road, knocked him unconscious, and kidnapped Maleah. But investigators have been saying, look, we've been trying to get him into the office to give us a description of those men. Like, let's
to put
get
a
this
sketch
out there.
together.
Yeah, and he has not had any contact with them since that initial interview on Saturday. So we see it in your comments. A lot of people also find that interesting, but they say that the stepfather, Derion Vence, has not made an effort to come in after that initial contact, and frankly they don't know where he is. So that is something that a lot of people are questioning.
And Kiara just asked, how many times has he changed his story? Well, all we know is that there were changes, and Sugar Land police haven't detailed what those are, how the story changed, but they do say that his story changed, and now his recollection of what happened on Friday night, in their words, doesn't add up.
A lot of people also looking into this case, and we're talking about the brain injuries that Maleah Davis reportedly suffered and had to have surgery on. You know, of course, anytime you see a child injured so extensively, you think is abuse a factor, but they have never been able to confirm that. They have never been able to confirm that is not the story that the family told doctors and social workers, and that is this. They have reportedly said that she fell and it was an accident. But she did receive a pretty serious head injury, and she had surgery for that, and her recovery post-op was to wear a helmet on her head for 1 to 2 years. So you can imagine that this was a major surgery that she had to undergo. So everyone obviously worried for her safety, but also this little girl is in need of medical help. And if she's out there, they want to find her as soon as possible, because clearly she is recovering from some major surgery.
And tomorrow will be a week since anyone
has seen her
beyond Derion Vence has seen her. Her grandmother says she saw her last Monday, so more than a week. Natalie on our Facebook page asked if they've opened the car. Some of you are just joining us and watching this aerial footage. Yes, we do know they searched the car. They searched the trunk. They say it looks normal, clean. There was no sign of Maleah in there, but they are taking it back to HPD to process it, to look for fingerprints, to see who last touched this car, and see if there are any fingerprints potentially that aren't Derion Vance's. They're also looking for that surveillance video from local businesses to see when this car was dropped there and who dropped it there.
So despite the, and thankfully, lack of evidence in the car that we see initially, this is still a big break in the case, because they're going to process this car. They're going to try to dust it for fingerprints. They're going to do a full forensics mock-up, frankly, and see what they can find, any other clues in this car. So this is a break in the case, thanks to the fact that HPD and other police departments have put out the images of this missing car out there, that we've been plastering it all over our newscasts, all over our web pages. We've been streaming, we've been sharing this, and we rely on you, our KHOU viewers, to share this information when we get it. You can tweet it, you can share it on Facebook, because that is what led to the tip that helped officers get here. And all we can hope for right now is a break in this case. So again, we're still searching for Maleah Davis, and you see her picture up on the left-hand side. We are sharing pictures constantly. We are making sure her face is out there, because again, if anyone sees anything that a lot of people, you hear from police officers and detectives all the time, people see stuff and they don't realize that what they're seeing isn't actually a clue, and it's okay to report it. And we just heard from the investigator who spoke just a few minutes ago, look, when you call us with a tip, we want details, and anything that maybe you think is insignificant might be significant. So he said, when you call in, and he said they've been receiving a lot of tips, but when you call in a tip in regards to this case, they want to know date, they want to know time, they want to know weather conditions, they want every single detail you can recall, because while it may seem insignificant to you, investigators are piecing together a much bigger picture, and they have received so many tips, and so you just never know what's going to lead them to a break in this case, as they did with this car here and finding this allegedly, reportedly stolen car.
Yeah, we do know that Maleah's mom is on scene. Some folks have asked about that. We have video of her on scene breaking down. It's a very emotional response and a very emotional discovery. That's not something we wanted to share publicly, but we do know that she's there. That was a question from Mika. And then Jay asked, how did she know? Well, a citizen called in this tip, called investigators. The assumption is that they then informed her that she was, that they had found the vehicle. Now, this is a car that belongs to her. We need to clarify as well. We know Derion Vence, Maleah's stepfather, was the one driving it on Friday night, Saturday, but the car does belong to her mother.
Absolutely. Again, if you are just joining us live, we have seen a break in the search for Maleah Davis, and I guess the good news here is that police have found this car that was found abandoned in this parking lot in Missouri City, and it's connected to the disappearance of Maleah Davis. It is a car that her stepfather claims was stolen on Friday night. And the good news here is that police did not find any evidence of a body. They say the car is clean inside, just some papers, some clothing in there. There is nothing in the trunk. So the next step, obviously, is to dust it for fingerprints to see if there is any other evidence as they get deeper into the car that will lead them to Maleah. But that still means she's missing.
And understand, I mean, the people are still flooding the feed with the car isn't open, the car isn't open, the car isn't open. We can only get on scene so quickly. Obviously, officers had been there before news crews find out that this is happening. So we know that they searched the car before we were able to get Air 11 up over the scene. And I know that's frustrating because a lot of people want to see officers in there, hands dirty, doing a search. That happened before we could get on scene. But I just want to emphasize that because a lot of folks are really frustrated, and their investigation, it doesn't end here. This car is going back to HPD where they can really go over it with a fine-tooth comb. There's really only so much they can do with it out in the elements like this. So in a matter of time, they will tow it. They will take it to HPD, they will process it, they will look for fibers, they will look for fingerprints, they will look for any indication that there was someone else in this vehicle besides Derion Vence, Maleah, and her little brother.
You mentioned conditions, and that is a big part of the search efforts for her, because so many people are saying, hey, why is EquiSearch being told to give up on their efforts to give up on this search? HPD has directed them to stop for the day, but that is because of weather. We have confirmed that this was an issue with weather. You know, we've been looking for this little girl since Friday, and we've had severe weather, Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday. Today we're going to be getting more severe weather later on this afternoon and evening. So we want to make sure, obviously everyone involved in search wants to make sure that those volunteers and those folks who are canvassing these areas are safe. And again, EquiSearch was focusing their efforts near Bush Airport. There's a big wooded area up there. It is muddy, it is messy, and when it's raining, it's very difficult to search that area for any sort of clues. And so they've called off the search, they've stopped the search for now. So after this information is coming through and this car is processed, EquiSearch, is so diligent in their efforts, and there's a good chance that maybe, since this car was found away from the other places they were focusing on, this is in Missouri City that we're looking at right now, that maybe their search efforts will now be redirected to another place. So all hope not quite lost yet. But Tim Miller, the head of Texas EquiSearch, has been saying that we are expecting the worst, but we are hoping for the best. And right now, that is all we have right now, is just hope that this little girl is found safe and sound.
Just a moment ago in our Facebook comments, Tarika, in all caps, asked, where is Maleah? And that is the question investigators are working to answer right now. More than any other, that is what they want a resolution to, and we don't have that answer right now, and we don't have a lot of the details that can lead us in that direction. There's the hope that investigators might, but this is a huge development in the case, to find the car, to know that this is where they were, how they were transported, if they were transported. A lot of that information can be found in that vehicle once they process the scene. So it looks like Air 11 might be headed away from the scene. We were taking a live look at Highway 6 and Riverstone Boulevard in Missouri City, that scene where the
FM 292
gray Nissan has been found, the one you guys have been sharing all over social media for days.
So many of you are saying, how do they know it's in the trunk? Because it's not even open. We've been showing the image of the car. It looks completely intact. None of the doors are open. Again, police got to this scene before they alerted the media as to what they were looking at. They got a tip. They got out there. And according to them, they have searched this vehicle, and there is no sign of Maleah. So yes, we saw the car sitting there. We didn't see the doors open. We didn't see the trunk open. Police say they have looked into it. They found nothing in the trunk. They have found nothing of note inside the car. So yes, they have opened the trunk. They have looked at it, and they are telling us that they have not found anything in there. And that is what we're going on. But I know a lot of people, as we've been over that scene for an hour and a half, 2 hours now, saying what in the world's going on, because we don't even see them looking through this car, searching through the car for any evidence. They have done that, and they did that before we arrived on scene, and any of the other cameras arrived on scene, because of course they want to take a look and see what they could find before there was any sort of buildup or interference there, because we have to give police the space to do their job, and we have to give them the space to do this investigation, and that is the most important thing. And what they're telling us is they did look at the trunk and they didn't find anything of note, and no, they did not find Maleah in there.
And one of the other parts of the investigation that they're working on right now is canvassing that strip mall area, all of those businesses, and asking them for surveillance video. A lot of you are asking about that. What about the video? Well, obviously that's not something we're going to have right now, but the detective did mention we're hoping that there is some surveillance video that can show us when this car got here and who brought it here. So that is part of the investigation as well. This isn't just a single person working it, and they're only focusing on the car right now. This is wide ranging. So, they have officers who are really trying to talk to Derion Vence to find out what those suspects or what his alleged attackers look like. They have folks who are going to search that car and process that car. They're going to talk to business owners to get surveillance video.
Brandy, I just wanted to interject. Shatray Duskin saying, so if nothing is in the car, why stop the search? Make me understand. Okay, so Shatray, I just want to make sure that we're really clear about this. That EquiSearch is suspending its search where it's been searching on the north side of Houston for her because of this incoming weather that is going to hit us really in the next hour, according to our meteorologist. So the search is suspended right now because of weather. That doesn't mean it's not going to resume, but HPD again asking EquiSearch to stop, because look, we don't want our volunteers and our searchers on the ground, on foot, on ATVs to get in any trouble. It is not safe to be searching out in the rain and in severe weather in any case.
The equipment that EquiSearch is using, they have ATVs, all of that stuff can get stuck in the mud, which is already saturated from the storms we've had. And EquiSearch has already once suspended the search due to weather this week. It's just incredibly poor timing as these storms roll through.
Yeah, I know. When I was just going to say, so again, the EquiSearch has suspended its search, but it does not mean that authorities have suspended their search for Maleah. I think that people are thinking it's the same thing. Texas EquiSearch looking for Maleah. Authorities, law enforcement, Sugar Land PD, HPD, all also looking for little Maleah. So no, this investigation has not stopped. It has not been suspended. They're just suspending the foot search for Maleah.
Okay, Billy just said, this is the first I've heard of this. What's going on? For those of you who are in the same boat, a big recap here. We just heard from investigators who are on the scene in Missouri City, where the car belonging to Maleah Davis's mother was found in the parking lot of a strip mall. A citizen spotted it, recognized it, called it in. Police have searched the car. They did not find any sign of Maleah, but they are going to process this car. Now, the car belonged to Maleah's mother, but as far as we know, as far as investigators know, her stepfather, Derion Vence, was the last one who was driving it. He tells investigators that Friday night, he was headed to the airport to pick up Maleah's mother when he thought he had a flat tire. He pulled over at 59 in Greens Road, and that's when he says 3 men approached him, they attacked him, hit him in the head. He woke up the next day, Saturday, in Sugar Land, no sign of Maleah, but he did have his 1-year-old son with him. So since then, we've learned that Sugar Land police say Vence has changed his story. They haven't exactly said how, but they do say that his original story didn't add up. We also know that they haven't had contact with him really since the detective was he said, don't hold me to it on Saturday, but around Saturday was the last time that they'd had any contact with him. They want to hear from him to get descriptions of the 3 suspects. They want a little more information. I'm sure they want to ask a lot of the questions that you're asking, but they don't know where he is. He's not responding to their calls. So Billy, that is the broad stroke update of where we are now. Maleah has not been found. The Texas EquiSearch crews are being called off for the day because of the inclement weather, the severe weather that's rolling through. And we've tried to get as many questions answered as we can, but that's where we stand.
Julie Santoro is asking, did they check his cell phone pings from the cell towers? Why were bloodhounds not used? There are cameras everywhere. Is all of this being checked? Julie, we have been assured by law enforcement that yes, they are checking all of this. As far as the surveillance cameras being checked, especially in the parking lot where the stepdad's that vehicle was found in that parking lot abandoned. We know that they are looking right now. Investigators did tell us during a news conference a few moments ago, look, we are looking for surveillance video from anywhere in the area, from businesses in the area, to see how this car ended up here and who left this car here. So you can always be assured that law enforcement always checks surveillance video. That is probably one of the fastest way to get evidence as possible. And we can only assume that they're checking his cell phone, where it's pinging from, and other search efforts are definitely underway. So there is a lot that's happening right now. And again, as Brandy has been saying as well, you know, we just want to make sure that we can clarify that the case is continuing. The investigation continues. Everyone is searching for Maleah Davis. Texas EquiSearch is a volunteer organization that steps up when we have these big cases like this here in the Houston area especially, and all over Texas really. Steps up with their own set of volunteers and conducts a sort of simultaneous search for people. And so there are a lot of people who are out there looking for this little girl, but their physical efforts for Texas EquiSearch have been suspended due to this weather, the severe weather that is going to be coming in the next few hours. So right now, if you're just watching us, these are just pictures of Maleah Davis, and this is why this is so important. We put these pictures out here, and we want to flood your social media feeds with them because this little girl needs to be found. And we just heard from an investigator with HPD who said they have received dozens of tips, but they obviously have to sift through those and make sure they're good. But one thing that he was very clear about was he said, look, you call in a tip, please give us as much information as possible. So many of us might not think that something is of significance, but anything, the time of day, the place, what the weather was like at the time, some sort of detail they saw, someone wearing, colors, all of that. Police are looking at a much bigger puzzle, and all of those details can help fit those pieces in the puzzle. So please, if you do have a tip and you're seeing this little girl and maybe you saw her somewhere, maybe you saw something of note that maybe this will trigger that memory, please call police because they want as much information as possible. And they are taking your tips and, again, asking for very detailed tips because the more details they have, hopefully the faster they can find this 4-year-old girl.
I want to answer a question from Melissa Boggs on our Facebook page. She asked, does the rain wash away fingerprints? Would they even be able to pull it because it's been sitting in the nasty rain? I suspect that a lot of their focus is going to be on the interior of that car. Whose fingerprints are on the steering wheel? What's been cleaned? What hasn't? The detective did say it's a very clean car. So he said there was some papers in there. But that's all he would tell us that they found inside. That's being processed and hauled into HPD so we can get some of those answers. And I'm not sure, you can probably pick it up a little bit on my microphone, but you can hear Cheryl Mercedes in the background. She's a KHRU 11 investigator who's really been deep diving into this case. And as soon as she's done with her hit right now, she's going to come over and chat with us about some new info that she's found, that she's learned. She's looked into, where the siblings are. She's looked into the head trauma,
the recent brain surgery that she had, and that this little girl. I mean, I think people are not realizing just the critical medical care that she needs after a brain surgery. She's only 4 years old, and that sort of adds to the urgency of all of this. I mean, this little girl we're hoping is alive, and if she's alive, she definitely needs emergency medical care because she needs to be attended to because she has just recently undergone brain surgery, and our KHOU 11 investigators looked into all of that and saw just how critical her injury was, and that she is a little girl that needs a lot of medical help right now. And so that is, again, the urgency here is to find her. But we're going to hopefully hear from Cheryl Mercedes in the next few moments. She's just finishing up her live shots. Brandy, so many people are asking on our Facebook Live if the mother, who we saw at the scene very early on when this car was discovered, we have seen Maleah's mother. She was at the scene. We didn't feel comfortable, and we wanted to be sensitive to her situation. She was sobbing. She was on her knees. Our cameras did find her, but we are not showing those images to you right now because, again, this is a family that is missing a child, and we want to take great care in how we handle this story. But a lot of people asking if the mother has been in contact with the stepfather. Police are saying they haven't heard from the stepfather since his initial interview. They've been trying to get in touch with him to get a better description of these three guys who allegedly knocked him unconscious and allegedly kidnapped Maleah. They want to get a better idea of his story, but we can't answer that right now because we don't know if the stepfather has been in touch with the mother. Maleah's mother, we have seen canvassing neighborhoods. She's been on foot with passing out flyers with her daughter's picture on it. They were doing that yesterday and the day before as well. So she's at the scene right now, but we don't know, right, Brandy? We haven't heard from the mother as far as whether or not she's been in touch with.
No, and yesterday she said she didn't want to do any more press interviews. Her focus was just on finding Maleah and spreading those flyers. So we haven't been able to ask her those questions, and police perhaps have that answer, but it's not one that we can answer right now.
Yeah, they haven't revealed anything in the way of whether or not Maleah's stepfather and mother have been in contact with each other. So keep your questions coming because we're following this just as you are, and we know that this is somewhat of a complicated case. Obviously, the goal here is to find Maleah Davis and to find her soon. But so many things have unfolded. They've unfolded across the Houston area, and we are actually, Cheryl Mercedes right now, one of our KHOU 11 investigators, is miking up. She's going to bring us more information, new things that she's learned, and again, a lot of the backstory in this little girl's history and her family history could possibly play a big role in all of this. So Cheryl is getting set up right now, and I'm going to continue reading your comments on our Facebook page with people watching your comments on YouTube as well. We are streaming on our KHOU 11 page as well, so please keep them coming. And Cheryl, I'm going to let you fill us in on what you found out in the last couple of hours.
So this literally came in probably moments ago from a court order yesterday. A court did order that Brittany Bowens, that's Maleah's mother, and the stepfather, Derion Vence, have no contact with either of their children until further notice. That was ordered by the court. Also, as we have reported, Maleah's younger half-brother is with his paternal grandmother and will remain there. Her other brother is with an aunt, and when Maleah is returned home, that's where she should be placed, according to the court, until further notice. So she will be with her sibling, who shares both parents. The court has ordered again that Brittany Bowens and Derion Vence have no contact with either of their children until further notice. That is huge. There is still a hearing.
That's a big deal. Yeah, because this is a mother looking for her child. So I'm surprised that if and when they find Maleah, that she would not be able to go back to her mother. What does all this mean?
Well, you know, it is tied up in court, and there's a hearing over custody, and right now CPS is actually the legal custodian, and that's why they've been going to court. They go back on May 22nd. So Brittany Bowens is trying to get custody back of her child, basically, because since this investigation started when Brittany had the brain surgery in August, the state stepped Maleah had the brain surgery. She stepped in. CPS said, you know, no, we're investigating. So this has been going back and forth, this custody battle. So she does not have legal custody of Maleah right now anyway. She has a monitored supervision. The children were placed with a relative, according to CPS. And this is what they're trying to battle out in court right now. They're trying to determine who is going to get custody. Will it be the state? Will it be placed in alternative housing? We don't know. But right now, the court is saying, hey, parents, you can have zero contact with those children until we say so.
So you're saying Brittany Bowens, the mother of Maleah Davis, the 4-year-old who is missing, does not technically have custody of her daughter, and this is all stemming from an injury that led to her brain surgery.
That's correct. That's correct. And it's one of 3 times, according to court documents, that Maleah has been rushed to the hospital in a month.
Brandy's here with a question.
Yes.
You probably can't hear me as well, but maybe you can reiterate the question. When you say monitored supervision, do we know how then there appeared to be custody without supervision? According to Derion Vence, it was just him, Maleah, and his son in the car.
Well,
Brandy is asking, you know, if they have to have monitored supervision, and I have a mic, so I'm repeating what Brandy Smith is saying. They had to have monitored supervision. How is it that their stepfather was driving around in a car with Maleah and her brother if they weren't even supposed to have contact with
You know, that's the million-dollar question here, because the aunt had custody at the time. They were placed with her, according to CPS. You were the aunt. So did someone give permission for Derion to take the child? Did he abduct the child? Those are important questions that we do not have answers to right now. We are waiting on more information from HPD. And I'm sure there are reasons why they can't say certain things, but those are questions that first day people wanted to know. So we are, as the documents continue to come in, we are checking, and we will bring you the very latest. Again, there is still a hearing set on May 22nd. The last hearing was April 10th. So this is all happening between a huge ordeal in court over the custody of these children.
And just to interject, someone from our assignment desk, we're getting so much information right now. There have been so many questions about the search for this little girl and why Texas EchoSearch was calling it off. Tim Miller with Texas EchoSearch is now saying that the search is going to resume shortly. They're trying to narrow down the area because, again, they've been searching by Bush Airport, the wooded area on the north side. But it looks like they're going to redirect their search to somewhere else and resume that search. Of course, this is very dependent on the weather. And they're going to, you know, I guess take it hour by hour to see how that works.
I'm sorry to jump in. It's the area around where the car was found.
Okay, so Texas EchoSearch redirecting their efforts to the Missouri City area where this car was found. So for the folks who are saying, hey, why are they stopping this? Why are they not looking for this little girl? They're going to start again. They've just got a reset, and now they're going to be looking near the Missouri City area where this gray Nissan Altima has been found now about 2.5 hours ago. And hopefully will be, you know, the next step and a big break in this investigation as to where Maleah is. Cheryl Mercedes is here with us right now. This is all information that is very interesting, and it really paints a picture, as you say, as far as the parents not having custody of Maleah, how she was able to have an unsupervised visit with her stepfather. Why was she allegedly with him? And hopefully this back information can help lead to clues as to where she is right now.
Yeah,
because he's not talking. He hasn't contacted investigators. They say they've been trying to reach out to him, and he's not responding.
And according to the court documents, the supervised supervision is supposed to happen with someone from CPS there. So it is going to be interesting to find out, you know, where's the aunt? What is she saying about this? Did the child go willingly? Was there an abduction? At this point, we don't know. The only abduction in the story is the one that Derion Vence talks about, with the car broken down on the interstate. And again, authorities are saying he continues to change his story. So it's all very confusing and it involves a lot of different parties. And we need to remember that Maleah has siblings here. So it is critical that all the right decisions are made.
So I want to ask you, from the I-Team's perspective, have you guys looked into Derion Vence's history? Is that something we are talking about just yet? Does he have a record?
None of them have a criminal history. We looked. Derion Vence, Brittany Bowens, and Craig Davis.
The biological
father. None of them have a criminal history. That is just... After seeing all of these documents, you know, a lot of times you expect to find something, but zero.
Where is Craig Davis? Do we know?
He's not talking. He hasn't showed up. We don't know where he is. He has not shown his face up to this point. We don't even have a picture of him. We'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to hear what he has to say. Yeah. But, you know, according to the court documents, reading the material there, he's not very present. He is not very present, according to the documents and reading them, in Maleah's life. The mentions are simply because he is the father. His name has to be in the document. But as far as the appearances are concerned, it's Brittany and Derion.
And those are the two people in her life that technically do not have custody of her and must only have monitored supervision.
Correct.
Must have monitored supervision with her. So many holes in this story. And again, we investigators say, I think it just boggles my mind that they have not talked to the stepfather since he initially reported what happened, and that his story wasn't making sense. That obviously, Cheryl, I mean, that's the big thing. That's key.
Yeah.
I mean, he
what's the story now, right? God,
what's
what's the story now?
Yeah.
You know, and how does it compare to his initial story? And it's changed more than once. So how? You know, and everyone's also asking about his child, his biological child, and his condition, and you know, why was he okay, and why can't that child talk? So we don't know those answers.
Yeah. And we're looking, I'm sorry, we're just looking at pictures of Maleah. We were on the scene for so long, but we've just been told that that Nissan Sentra that was found, the car has been towed now.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. Now it's going to be processed. Now they're going to be looking for fingerprints, any other clues. When investigators spoke to us a few minutes ago, they said, look, the car looks, quote, clean.
It's empty, correct?
It's empty. There were papers, maybe some clothing, nothing of note in the trunk. So all of this now, I mean, we were hoping for at least some major clues, but maybe that will come in the next few hours when they go through this and sift through this car, and literally every fingerprint in there, every little particle.
Yeah.
Maybe there's evidence of DNA, there's hair, there's something in there that can give an idea of maybe where she is.
Yeah, we are on top of this, and any new information that we have, we will post it online. We are streaming now online on the air. We will bring it to you first as soon as we learn.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So if you are just joining us in this conversation now, I'm here with Cheryl Mercedes, and Brandy Smith is here, and the three of us are staying on top of our coverage. We are looking for little Maleah Davis. She has been reportedly missing since Friday evening, and the initial story, which is from her stepfather, Derion Vence, is that he was near Bush Airport. He pulled over on the side of the road up there. He said he had an issue with his tire, and that three men in a truck drove up. They knocked him unconscious, and they kidnapped Maleah. And he claims that he woke up hours later with his one-year-old son in his lap. He was in and out of consciousness, and he has no idea what happened. That vehicle that reportedly was having issues with the tire was found just a few hours ago in a parking lot in Missouri City. It's a shopping center off of Highway 6 near FM 292, which is also Murphy Road. A person who recognized the vehicle, the Nissan Altima with paper plates, called police, and they were able to get there. And again, this is just one step in this case, because now that car has been towed from the scene, but now police have to go through that car and see what evidence, if any, they can
find. You know, another question a lot of people are asking, where's the flat? Where's the tire issue? What's the story on that? What is going on? So I'm sure that's part of processing the vehicle to see if there's anything that may be faulty, that maybe they can connect. But again, this was story number one, as far as we know it. What are the other stories he's telling?
And the investigator said the car's tires looked fine.
Yes.
That was one of the questions that reporters on scene were asking. What did the tires look like? Because again, that's what the stepfather said. Look, I had a problem with my tire. It doesn't appear that there's a spare tire on there. The tires don't appear to be deflated. There didn't seem to be a problem.
And
with
surely if there are three guys who are trying to abduct someone, they're not going to change the tire and then abduct someone.
And
so
leave.
it's just, as viewers have told us, it's just not adding up.
It's not.
And now police are telling us this. So.
Absolutely. Brandy, have you seen anything on our feeds as far as like questions that Cheryl could, I've been looking to, the three of us are here, again, just weighing in with your comments. Go ahead.
One of the things now, Cheryl, that you've revealed that both mother and stepfather have been ordered to have no contact. People are asking about the mom's story, about Brittany's story, where she was. She said she flew to Massachusetts, right, for
a funeral. Her father's funeral.
Right. I just wanted to confirm.
Yes,
what we
that's
know
her
on this.
story right now. But she's not saying much else except for, I want my daughter to come back, and we have flyers.
And have police confirmed that she was indeed out of town? I mean, have they checked plane tickets, that kind of stuff? Those are a lot of questions there. We haven't confirmed
I'm
that
certain
she
that's
was.
what they are definitely working on that on their
Yeah.
end, no doubt. But
Certainly,
that's not
we will
something
know
can
that
confirm.
soon, right? We cannot confirm whether or not she actually had a flight, or there's any communication, or she left Maleah with the aunt's house and then left. We don't know.
All right. We are again following this case. Brandy, sorry.
One more
go
question
ahead.
for you, Cheryl, from one of our Facebook comments. Where was the 5-year-old? We know where the 1-year-old was. We don't know where Maleah was, but we know in kind of the situation she was with Derion Vence, her little brother.
The relative. That's all we're told. CPS says with a relative. The children were with a relative.
That's her half brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because her brother, her full
Yes.
biological brother, was allegedly in the car with her and Derion
Right.
Vance.
Right.
But
So we're
she's a
talking
half-brother.
about We're talking about her brother, who's not her half brother. Her half brother was in the vehicle.
Oh, her half brother was in the vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
okay.
that's another question right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just so sad that we are still searching for Maleah, and we know now, after going through court records, that she needs, quote, critical medical care. This little girl is supposed to be in a helmet after having half of her skull removed last August. So she had to have brain surgery. She's been in the hospital 3 times. Just in July and August, she was ordered to wear a helmet. I mean,
can you walk us through that again? Because I think a lot of our viewers, and if you guys, we're live on camera as well, we're taking a look at that, but a lot of our viewers have not yet seen your investigative piece that aired yesterday.
And it is online,
and
if you'd like to go look at it. Yes,
Absolutely.
and it's very detailed.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth checking out because, again, this is all about filling in the holes and the puzzle pieces in this case. I want to, you know extensively about the surgery that she had and the timeline for that. So walk us through that.
Okay.
Why did this little girl at 4 need brain surgery?
Okay, so she went to the hospital July 10th. Okay, and this is all according to documents. She wasn't feeling well, and she was throwing up blood. She was very lethargic. They just said, okay, we'll check her out. You know, and in those documents, it also states that Brittany called her mother on the phone. That's the grandmother, saying, I don't know what to do, should I take her to the hospital? And she's like, I don't know, I think she'll be okay. And grandmother said on the phone, no, you need to get her to the hospital. So then she took her. She was treated, went home, and then a week later, she's back at the hospital with a cut on her forehead. Brittany can't explain where this cut came from.
Do we know the extent of that injury? Kids get cuts, but like, what was the extent of that laceration?
Basically, it was close enough to get to the frontal lobe.
So it was a deep
And it was
cut.
a deep cut, and it was stitched up, and she went home the next day. She did.
It was stitched at the hospital.
It was stitched at the hospital, correct, at the emergency room, and she was released. But something happened right there, because when she went back in August from the alleged fall from the chair, the doctors noticed, hey, there was a previous injury here when they went in to do the surgery. There was a previous injury, and by the way, the document said that second time she went to the hospital with that laceration, that the cut where it was, it could have been life-threatening. That was visit number 2, not even visit number 3, according to the documents.
So essentially life-threatening injury.
Correct.
On visit number 2.
Yes.
So many times, and this happens often, I mean, it doesn't matter the situation, when a child is in the hospital with incredibly severe injuries like that, social workers, CPS step in. They oftentimes, the protocol at so many hospitals is they almost separate the family, and they want to get the, you know, what happened to the kid, and they investigate. Do you know if that investigation took place? Because if you're telling me the doctor is saying that this is the second time with a life-threatening injury, I don't know how we got to a third time.
That's a good question. We don't know, because the state stepped in after that 3rd visit when half the skull was removed. And that's a great question. And still to this day, CPS is saying, hey, all we found enough evidence to say that she was neglectful. At this point, we can't say that it was abuse. And that's what's got people so confused right now.
So confused.
Yes.
And that was in August.
Yes.
So since August, CPS has had custody of the children,
Correct.
but they've been in the care of family members.
Well, yes, they went back into the care of family members. Well, Maleah was in the hospital for a very long time after August. She was in ICU, recovering from surgery, and she was placed with a relative. CPS said that.
The August visit. So
Yes.
she gets to the hospital. What were her injuries then? I mean, what made her undergo that surgery?
She had a busted up face.
Oh.
And I will tell you this, we're not going to show that because it is too graphic, but I have seen photos of how she appeared when she showed up there, and they're just horrifying. I mean, they're gut-wrenching. So I just can't, and there's a photo of her as well, you know, where you can see she was placed in a helmet. It's just, people are just outraged right now, and they are asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to get answers soon from police when they can share that with us, because these documents, I mean, I showed you the stack. It's about a 4 to 5 inch stack, and that's just dating back to 2006 to discuss custody, child support, and
2016.
It's 2016,
Yeah.
correct. And the majority of those documents, those stem from the August incident.
Wow.
Yeah, so. But we have all of this online. If you missed it, you can go to khou.com, look for the story, just look for why did Maleah need brain surgery, and you'll find it. We answer those questions there, and we show you the documents that we reviewed, so you can see for yourself. Because there's been a lot of stories of there was child abuse. We saw this there. No, we're showing you the document. You can read it for yourself. You can see it highlighted. So we aren't hiding anything from you guys.
An easy link at khou.com/investigation.
Correct.
This is the top story.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. I think what is mind-boggling for all of us and all of our viewers who are watching this is, how did it get this far? How do you get to a third hospital visit with essentially a brain bleed and needing surgery? How did that happen?
A lot of people are calling CPS on the carpet, and a lot of people, also the judge.
Yeah.
Judge Gloria Lopez.
Yeah.
That's who made the order to, okay, we may return the child in February. We'll let you visit. I mean, it's just, there's no way you can understand after seeing all of this why this took place, but we just, you know, they're following their policies and procedures.
Yeah.
We may not agree with them, but in the end, you know, this is still in court.
Yeah.
You know, May 22nd, they have another date before the judge, and the case is stamped to be dismissed by August. And that, I'm told, is standard by CPS. Whenever they start an investigation, they give it a year. So
dismissed meaning if it comes up and it's in August and they just say, okay, this
they can
is
file
done.
for an extension.
Oh, they
yes,
can. Okay.
But their goal is within that year to have it in court, because their number one goal is to reunite the children with their parents.
Absolutely.
If they can.
Yeah.
So they don't want to extend that if they don't have to.
We have to, because a lot of people are wondering. Again, you guys looked into possible criminal history, and the people involved, the parents involved, don't have a record.
No.
Brittany Bowens did not, her biological mother did not have a record. Derion Vence, her stepfather, who was allegedly the last person to see Maleah Davis alive, did not have a record. Her biological father, Craig Davis, who essentially seems to be out of the picture, did not have a record.
Correct.
So that may also play a role into how CPS and the courts handled this, because there was no sort of history of abuse. There was no criminal record.
It's very different with first-time offenses, and you know that. It depends on the statute. So it's in the judge's hands. And a lot of people are watching this and they want to know, will that change anything? We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, could that pressure from the public, you know, possibly help anyone change their minds? We don't know. There are so many questions. And all we have access to right now is the public record. And the public record is just disturbing. Right now.
This isn't related to the CPS investigation, but I do want to clarify, because someone commented that Derion Vence shouldn't be considered a person of interest, he should be considered a suspect. I want to point out that HPD doesn't name persons of interest.
They do not.
He has not been named a person of interest.
He's been questioned. That's it. And they will not name him.
I just wanted to put that clarification out there, because there's quite a few people who have floated that verbiage, and that's not that's not how HPD has approached it. They do want to talk to him. They've been looking for him, trying to call him. They'd like to ask him a few more questions, but they haven't been able to reach him since they said Saturday.
Right, and if anyone's concerned about Maleah's siblings, remember the court ordered today that Brittany Bowens and Derion Vence are not to talk or contact either of their children until further notice.
And
so
they didn't have custody.
They already did,
yeah, they
but they can't contact them. They can't go visit at the aunt's house or the paternal grandmother's house. They can't. The court said, do not go near the children.
So, and that's the other big question then. Now knowing that the parents did not have custody, the mother and stepfather did not have custody, and that they were with, that these kids were with a grandmother and an aunt, and that they had to have monitor supervision, the big question is, then why was Maleah and her half-brother with her stepdad?
Yeah.
Why were they allegedly just the three of them? That is not a supervised visit.
We would all love to know that.
There is no reason they should have been there. If this all adds up and that is what the court had determined, that doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
We all want to know that, and as Brandy mentioned as well, you know, what about the flight check? What about the tickets? What about, was there a flight? Well, we saw, you know, there was an obituary online for Brittany's father, but, you know.
Did she actually go?
Did she go?
Yeah.
We don't know.
And these are all things that we trust investigators are looking into. We know HPD is the primary agency handling this. Sugar Land PD is involved because that is where Derion Vence first reported this. That's also the agency that told us his story didn't add up, that it had changed, even though investigators haven't clarified what has changed about it. And now we know that they haven't been able to contact him or make contact with him for several days.
People are outraged. And understandably
as they should be. We're looking at photos of a beautiful little girl who is missing, who is in need of critical medical care, and we're talking about her being gone for a week tomorrow. And
time flies,
a week tomorrow.
As of tomorrow night. This allegedly happened on Friday night around 9 o'clock.
So you think about any adult being able to fend for himself or herself for a week through the severe weather that we've had. We're all holding out hope that she's okay and maybe just wandered off.
And we know doctors have said she has to wear that helmet for 12 months to 24 months. And does she have the helmet on? What child wants something like that on their head? The child's not going to know better.
And after a surgery as intensive as that, you have to assume that there are medications involved, therapy involved.
Right.
She needs critical medical attention.
And she was in therapy.
And she's in
therapy. She needs her therapy. She was in speech therapy as well as her physical therapy. So she's missing out on that.
But the injuries have not been explained.
No.
The injuries have not been explained. The family is claiming that those injuries that she sustained 3 times last year in just a matter of months were accidents. But we don't know, and it doesn't appear that CPS knows if that is truly the case. And I think that is disturbing to so many people.
The caseworker went to the house and, according to the documents, looked at the chair, but didn't have a measuring device to see whether or not that fall was a certain height from that marble table that the mother is saying the child fell from. And there was no indication that the caseworker went back and got a ruler or a measuring stick and went back to the home to try to verify that. So that was also in the document. The caseworker did go to the house to try to see the height from the chair to the marble table that the mother was talking about in the documents.
But I think you could assume that a 4-year-old falling from a chair and then to have such a significant head trauma. I mean, I feel like at that point, a doctor would step in and say, look, this didn't happen from a chair fall.
Right.
That was truly
and the doctor did say that in the documents. The doctor did say that. But they could not say it was abuse.
They couldn't.
They just said the story, it doesn't make sense. This serious of an injury could not happen from a chair fall. That's in the documents. But then what really happened?
So why couldn't they make that jump to abuse? That is the big question. Wow.
They could not say. They could not say. They were concerns. The doctor said, we are concerned there is abuse, and we are concerned for the lives of Maleah's siblings. That's in the documents. Doctors said that. But in the end, it was just neglectful supervision is what they found on the part of Brittany Bowens.
So after her 3rd visit to the hospital that led to brain surgery, a week staying in the hospital in critical care, and that recovery. During that process, that is when her brother and her half-brother were placed in the custody of family.
Relatives.
After
Yes.
her third injury.
Correct.
Okay, so it's been several months. This
Yes.
happened last August.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
And I just want to hit this again because ever since I brought up the fact that HPD has not named Derion Vence as a person of interest, we've had people flooding the feed saying he is. They've said it.
They have
so
not.
I want to show this tweet from HPD. The investigation into the whereabouts of missing 4-year-old Maleah Davis remains ongoing. HPD customarily doesn't identify persons of interest or suspects unless charges are filed. So they have not filed charges against Derion Vence.
Right.
They have not named him a person of interest.
We don't have a suspect.
Right.
So
there are reports out there that HPD has countered. HPD is saying at this time we do not have a person of interest. We have not identified a person of interest, and we won't until charges are filed.
And when that happens, we will be the first to let you know.
Yeah, and people keep saying, why do you keep saying it? Other media outlets are reporting this regardless of what HPD has said, and that is incorrect.
I've seen it in headlines.
We've seen it in headlines that the stepfather of Maleah Davis is a person of interest. If you are seeing that, and again, you are because that's what you're commenting, that is incorrect.
That is not to say they are not doing some extensive investigation.
There's questioning,
right?
We can guarantee.
But he has not been named, and I just wanted
not
to
been named as a person of interest. That is coming directly from HPD, and if you're seeing those headlines, that is incorrect.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Angie says, so why did y'all say he was a person of interest? We haven't. Actually, we've been very clear about outlining that.
Right. Yeah. We have. Since we saw the HPD tweet, we have been very conscious about that.
And then, like I said, that is an assumption, that is a stretch that has been made by other media outlets, but that is not what we've been reporting, and that is not what HPD is reporting.
And HPD is the primary agency, investigating agency.
Correct. Correct. There's just so much that continues to come in with this case, and just the fact that they were just in court April 10th, and then another court date coming up, a status hearing, May 22nd. I mean,
the timing
we are. The timing is just
Someone is asking
crazy.
Online if they want to see the scene of the car. So you guys keep talking.
Okay.
I'm going to ask if we can switch and see the scene again.
Okay.
The car actually, so our viewers know the car has actually been towed.
Yes.
From the scene, so they're processing it right now. But let's see if we can get that video back on.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you, Reka. Yeah.
Perfect.
To catch everyone up, because a whole lot has unfolded since about 10 o'clock this morning. We know a citizen recognized that gray Nissan in a parking lot off Highway 6 near, I think, Riverstone Boulevard. Police got on scene before our cameras did.
Correct.
We know that they searched the vehicle then. They say it was clean. They found some documents, nothing outstanding
Nothing
for them.
in the trunk.
Right. And the detective was very clear that the car trunk looked normal. There wasn't any sign of Maleah. They are hauling that car to HPD to be processed. Fingerprints, fibers, all of that will be looked into. We do know that Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens, was on the scene.
Correct.
She arrived to the scene where the car was. We know she had a very emotional response.
Correct.
At least, yes.
Yeah.
We now know, Cheryl, thanks to your investigations, that she and Derion Vence have been ordered to have no contact.
No contact with either of the children. That's Maleah's 2 siblings. That's correct.
So a lot in the past almost 3 hours has unfolded. The one thing we do know, though, is that Maleah has not been found.
Yeah.
We know EquiSearch is kind of redirecting, refocusing where it's looking, giving up near 59 and Greens Road, and instead going out to the Missouri City area near where the car was found.
And this weather is not helping. We've got that. It's been a reason you keep seeing us post and say the search is suspended. Well, it has a lot to do with this weather, and we've got a lot of weather coming. So they're working diligently in this search to find whatever they can. And this Nissan was a huge break.
Yeah.
But where's Maleah?
Where
is Maleah?
Yeah. And that's the thing. There are, and we are reading these comments. We are all frustrated.
Absolutely. We are too. We want those same answers.
Same answers.
Right.
Too many holes in this story. Too many. What happened there? Why didn't folks follow through on this? What is going on in this investigation? But the main thing is we need to find Maleah Davis, and that is the goal. We're trying to get that video. I know our viewers are saying
the car. Yes, the video of the car. We're trying to pull that up for you.
We're trying to effort that. Yeah. And of course, we're going to have that on KHOU 11 News at 4 later on this afternoon. So we're going to see you there as well. But we're going to pull up that video as soon as we can onto our streaming sites and again, show you a picture. If you missed it, this was the big breaking news this morning, is finding this this Nissan, this car that was allegedly, reportedly by her stepfather.
And we now have the video up.
Okay.
Oh, of it being towed. That is our first view.
Here we go.
That was from a few moments ago.
From the parking lot.
It was about a half hour ago. And again, that was all thanks to a tip from someone who had seen this car in the news, seen this on social media platforms, knew that this was something that police were looking for, and they called in. And that's what investigators are asking
Such
for.
a random location, too.
A very random location.
And you notice just sitting there in a lot by itself.
What's advantageous from an investigative perspective, I would think, is all of those businesses, and the chances that some of them have surveillance video.
Absolutely.
So,
and they are reviewing surveillance.
Yes.
Detectives have said that. In every area they've searched, or wherever the story might be, where Derion Vence said, this is where I was when this happened or that happened, this is where I was taken. They're looking at that surveillance video. So no doubt, you're correct, Brandy, they most likely will pull this video. And hopefully those businesses do have surveillance, because that will tell us a lot.
So will what they process in the car, what they're able to find in the car. Whose fingerprints are in there?
Yes.
Whose fingerprints aren't in there? What's the condition inside the car? A lot of folks have commented, you know, I'm a single adult and my car's not clean. This was a car that had 2 children in it. So investigators are going to be looking into that and trying to answer all of those questions too.
And he did not have custody.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all very good questions.
Carolina Sexton just asked who owns the car. The car is owned by Maleah's mother.
Yes.
But as far as we know,
the stepfather
was driving it.
And she was coming back from the funeral, her father's funeral. And he was on the way to the airport when
to pick her up.
Right.
Yes.
When he had an issue with the car.
Yeah.
And that's how this is where it all unfolded.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the car right there.
Wondering if the car was cleaned before it was placed there. Again, we don't know any of this evidence. All we know is what investigators told us just about an hour or two ago. That look, we looked inside the car, we looked inside the trunk. There's no sign of her right now. But again, testing for fingerprints, looking for industry.
Looking at the tire. Looking at that tire.
The tire that was apparently faulty. The stepfather says he had a bullet. All of those things they're looking at right now, and as quickly as possible. This time, here.
Absolutely.
Danietta commenting again that the stepdad story has changed too many times. We only know that it's changed. We don't know how
many
or why.
times. Correct, and we don't know how many times at this point.
People asking us to confirm whether they are actually married, whether Brittany and Derion Vence.
You know what? According to court documents, they are not. She's been referring to her as the stepfather, but in the court documents, he is labeled boyfriend.
Okay, and police have been calling him a stepfather as well.
They have.
So that is the confusion.
They have. She is saying that, but they are not legally married. As far as the documents that we've reviewed that we can tell, they are not married.
All right. So this is not necessarily your stepfather.
Correct.
Father's boyfriend.
That's how.
And Sharnita asked how Brittany got home from the airport. We've heard that her mother picked her up. We do have that information. I just want to pull it up on our website. Not her mother, but I believe a friend. I'm sorry, I'm looking on our website. I know her grandmother.
Yes.
So on Monday night, not on Monday night, I'm sorry, I'm reading this text directly off of our website, but Brenda Bowens, who is Brittany Bowen's grandmother, says she picked Brittany up from Bush Intercontinental when Derion Vence didn't show up.
And I'm sorry, guys, we have new information coming in that we're constantly reading, so I missed what you were just saying, Brandy, if you wouldn't mind repeating that.
So basically, the grandmother, Brittany Bowens, her mother, Brittany Bowens, who's the mother of Maleah, her mother, Brenda, actually picked her up from the airport. And that was
a question that came in on Facebook.
That her mother picked her from the airport.
Her grandmother.
The grandmother.
The child's grandmother.
That's what she has told us.
Picked up Brittany, the child's mother, from the airport.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a change in the story right there.
Yeah. So it's just so many people wanting answers, and we so wish we could bring those to you right now. But again, this investigation is so very active. There's so
it
many
is,
things
and there's
right
a
now.
huge reason it is. We have a missing girl that has a history of being rushed to the emergency room just in the last 7 or 8 months with substantial injuries that cannot be explained by her mother or the boyfriend.
Which is why CPS was
Correct.
involved.
Correct. So it's just so complicated, and there are so many twists and turns to this story.
Yeah. So again, some of people are saying boyfriend, not stepdad. Yes.
We
Derion
know
Vence
that.
has been reportedly labeled as Maleah's stepfather, but our investigative team, Cheryl and the rest of our team, have found that this is they weren't indeed married. That
They were not.
Brittany Bowens and Derion Vence were not married. That he was just apparently her boyfriend. So then I guess if they were not married and CPS had this custody deal, so basically they said that she could have supervised visits with her mother's boyfriend?
Well, no, her father, the biological father is named there, but the biological father's not very present. Right.
Okay.
So
According to the court
according
documents.
to the court documents, all of this is according to the record and what we have read on there. So at this point, this is all tied up in court. We're hoping for the best ending for Maleah and her siblings. And the siblings are safe according to the state right now. They are with relatives who they believe are in a safe environment. So we do want to stress that.
Brittany Bowens is Maleah's mom. So people
Correct.
are saying, look, so she arrived Friday night at Bush Airport and didn't report them missing until Saturday?
No, that's what's so crazy about this is that Derion Vence was reported missing before Maleah. You would think that you would notice the child is
first,
gone.
and that Amber Alert would be out. I mean, that is key.
Well, and the Amber Alert didn't even go out till Sunday, right?
Correct.
Right.
So this all went down on Friday.
Sunday morning. At
Everything
11 o'clock.
comes out on Saturday.
Correct.
And then the Amber Alert finally went out on Sunday.
And that is not typical.
That's 2 days.
Yeah. The first 48 hours are so
Especially
valuable.
a missing child who needs critical medical care and who is supposed to be wearing a helmet and needs treatment. And medication, as you mentioned, Reka.
Yeah.
We don't even know that because obviously HIPAA, we won't know that, but clearly if someone's been through that trauma, there's plenty of things they need to recover.
It's all very sad, and it's all, for us speaking here, this is all very emotional too.
This
is a child that's missing, and we are just as frustrated as our
Look,
viewers.
I will just tell you, I mean, it was gut-wrenching. It was tough to read through those documents.
And it was hundreds of pages.
Hard, yes, nearly
And
300,
images.
yes, photos, and they had illustrations of the injuries and where they were and where the surgeries took place on a paper, obviously, which was just drawing of the child. But just to look through all of that, I mean, you know, we scratched the surface the first day, and then we looked deeper on Tuesday, and that's when we learned all of these horrifying details.
Absolutely.
And we are going to stay on top of it, guys.
We are, and we're coming, it's 12:58, we're coming on 1 o'clock right now. We've been streaming for the last 3 hours, trying to bring you the latest information in this case, and of course the big break, finding the alleged stolen car that is connected to Maleah Davis and her disappearance. So thank you for watching.
Yes.
We are so happy to see your comments. Keep them coming because we are going to get off of this stream, but we are going to continue
Everything
to
online.
check everything online,
Yeah.
and we're staying on top of it. And Brandy Smith, Cheryl Mercedes, thank you so much for
joining us.
watching. And we're going to see you on KHOU 11 News at 4 with the very latest. Thanks, guys.